Besides Senator Manchin making headlines at the No Labels town hall, the bipartisan group is gearing up to launch what it calls its common sense agenda. It contains ideas on how to tackle issues facing Americans every day, laid out in the broadest and most milquetoast ways. For example, on page 56, idea 27 says, quote, "Every American deserves respect and freedom from discrimination, ... What on earth are they doing?
Well, this is not the first time they've laid out an agenda. Their 2016 agenda, they said that by 2030 they were going to balance the budget. Just for the record, since 2016, we have added extraordinarily
Trillions.
to our...
Trillions.
We have not balanced the budget. And so that's the problem, Leland, right? Is like they can have the agenda. And look, I am sympathetic
by the way,
to the argument. People don't want just one of two options, but so skeptical of this organization and the leadership.
You brought up the budget. Hold on. They're not giving up, though, on this idea.
Won't.
Congress owes it to every American, to the American people to pass a budget every year and to do it on time. If Congress doesn't pass the required annual budget and spending bills on time, members should not be paid until they do. ...
Hey, I'm for that.
Puppies are very cute.
But there are lots of millionaires on the Hill.
Yeah.
By the way, what difference does that make?
But how do they expect to be? Look, we can all agree that Biden-Trump rematch is not what the American people want. We have that. How can these guys be taken seriously if they can't actually put together meaningful policy proposals that don't in some way perhaps irritate somebody?
But here's a bigger problem. The no labels and the left and the right, there's a sliver that's far left, there's a sliver that's far right. The majority of Americans, Republicans and Democrats, and even really elected officials, unless you count the GOP because they're held hostage by Trump MAGA voters, America is in the middle. And the majority of the voters are in the middle,
right.
And they're accustomed to voting Democrat and Republican. This is all fancy stuff, if you will, to tantalize you about a third-party candidacy, but it's just not happening. It's not going anywhere fast. And if you look at the reports, the no labels, the majority of the money going to no labels is being contributed by large Republican donors.
Yeah, and it's going into the pockets of the consultants who are running no labels. They got Joe Lieberman, failed vice presidential candidate, to talk about what he believes would be the vision. Take a listen.
If the polling next year shows, after the two parties have chosen their nominees, that in fact we will help elect one or another candidate, we're not going to get involved. The problem is not the third choice that no labels is offering the American people. The problem is the American people are not buying what the two parties are selling.
All right, he says that we're not going to help elect one candidate or another. How do you not siphon votes from one party or the other?
This group helps Republicans, and anybody who doesn't acknowledge that is lying to themselves. So Joe Manchin, in the back of his mind, knows what he's doing. And look, if you want to help Republicans, be honest about it. But Joe Manchin is of a mixed mind right now. And the reality is this, he's got to think about his legacy. He's coming up on what could be a re-election or could be a massive failure and boot him out of the public eye forever. I've known Joe Manchin about 20 years, and I can tell you, this is a guy who's ascended the ranks of the state government. This is now, he's sitting in a hot federal seat where he's relevant every day. This is a continuation of wanting to be relevant. But this group has so many problems. I was a young staffer on Capitol Hill in 2010 when they launched. Back then, nobody took them seriously. What's changed now is how much they have in the coffers. So much money. So what I think this agenda does nothing, doesn't move the needle. What we'll hear in New Hampshire tonight will be more speculation about nothing. Who nobody is speaking to is the younger voter that is so upset about the labels, and no labels, funny enough, has never addressed the elephant in the room.
Bill, I want to pick up something Scott said. Scott talked about the folks in the center, right? And there is a radical center in America that feels as though America isn't working anymore. And I think about, some of the common sense agenda. A world led by America is safer than a world led by Russia and China would be. It's in America's interest to work with our allies to advance our mutual interest. Again, how do you expect to be bold and visionary? How can a group be bold and visionary if they're neither bold nor visionary in their statements.
Well, what I enjoy is this conversation around the table, watching the consternation of the Democrats that sit around me about the prospect that Joe Manchin.
That's just spirit. It's not consternation.
Yeah, it's fear. But, you know, bringing us back to reality, one of the problems that No Labels has is ballot access. If you don't have party access on the ballot, then they're going to have to go out and do the labor-intensive petition process in each of the states to get them on.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnation.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.